estrogen dominance, we're talking about specifically breast cancer. And I think everyone in at least this country is aware of the prominence of incidence with breast cancer. So with the estrogen dominance, what this means generally is that estrogen, either if there's a high loading value in the serum, number one, or it's how it's received by the receptor sites, and we'll call these receptor sites ER for short, which is estrogen receptor sites. Okay, so we've got this coming to a boil, and we want to reduce this to where the fluid is perhaps half the volume of when we started. And then we're going to add the kale. And that's when we're going to add our simple seasonings, which in this case is just salt and pepper. We're just going to cover this up, and we're going to let it sweat, so to speak. And we're not using oil. That's really important. We want to avoid, as you can see by now, one of the premise of this series is not to cook with oil or to avoid heating oil as much as possible. And this, as you can see, the kale's already turning color, which is perfect. If there's a spike or a flux, as an example, or some mismanagement, so to speak, within the receptor site, the estrogen enters the receptor site, the cell, and begins to parlay a different sequence within the cell itself that can be problematic. And this can create a shift in the DNA. Okay, as you can see, we're getting a rapid boil here. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add tamari. And once again, we're being liberal with soy products. Soys, as you know, the soybean, genistein. It's high in something called genistein, which is very important. It's a very effective component, which helps when we're talking about inhibiting ER. As we've discussed before, avocado is an excellent source for essential fatty acids. And essential fatty acids are beneficial for the topic of discussion today. And what I do generally is I just dice this over. Gives it a rich taste. We talk about these components that basically people are afraid of. They think that it's going to increase estrogen. Well, phytoestrogens are termed that because they mimic biochemically an estrogen produced within a mammal system. But they are different, and that's important to understand. They're similar, but they're different, and that's really important. A lot of people that consume phytoestrogens feel that their estrogen levels are increasing. It's not that simple. The texture has a nutty flavor to it, and as you can see, it doesn't stick together. That's when you know your rice is done. And tofu, prepared soy foods, and things like that are actually beneficial. And as I've mentioned before in the series, that when I was in Asia, we've noted that women there had lower incidences of breast cancer and cervical cancer than in America. And these are something to be aware of because these people eat an average of 4 grams of soy a day. So basically, once again with this program, what we want to do to this series is the isoflavones or isoflavonoids, which are related to the phytoestrogens, are healthy components. I don't want people to be afraid of eating soy. This is a type of refreshing food I find. You don't feel too stuffed when you're finished with it. Or some foods, as you know, can make you feel heavy or lethargic, so to speak, after you complete it. This cabbage roll is going to be hurting on length, but you get a general idea of what you're doing here. And those are our cabbage rolls. Let's put this on a plate.